What is up, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Don't Say the F Word. We are a pro wrestling and combat sports podcast, and we do not use the F word whenever we talk about professional wrestling, and you shouldn't let your friends use it either. It's Sunday. We are recording right here in our Riverside studio, and we are also live on Instagram. If you're not following us on Instagram, I don't know why you're not. It's where we share some of the best stuff other than the podcast itself. But if you want to check us out, we are Don't Say the F Word Podcast on Instagram. We are Don't Say the F Word Podcast on Facebook and TikTok. And we are the Don't Say the F Word Podcast on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify. Today, not looking to do a full recap of SmackDown. Not going to do a full recap of Rampage. I just want to pitch the question out there. Can Sami Zayn beat Roman Reigns? We're leading into Elimination Chamber in Montreal. We gotta. It's a weird main event for Elimination Chamber. I don't think either chamber match will be the main event of this show. It's Montreal. It is Sami's hometown. He's going after the tribal chief. He has an opportunity to be the undisputed heavyweight WWE Universal Champion of the Galaxy, or whatever the very lengthy name for carrying both belts is. But can Sami dethrone Roman Reigns? That's really the question. Is this a pay-per-view that can, a premium live event that can bring us a surprise? We had on Raw, we had an incredible promo with Cody Rhodes and Paul Heyman. On SmackDown, we tried to bring that promo back with Paul and Sami in a way. It wasn't the face-to-face, it was a Sami sneak up, and then we planted a lot of seeds for Elimination Chamber with Jey Uso possibly not being there. I was very surprised Jey Uso was at SmackDown. I didn't think we would see Jey at SmackDown. I really thought they would have had Solo step in and team with Jimmy, and we probably wouldn't see Jey Uso. Leave a lot of doubt there. I believe Jimmy Uso can't go to Montreal. I think Jey is able to. It's something with prior DUI charge. I can't remember. One of them can't go to Montreal. So we're not going to see a full bloodline in Montreal. And Roman said for Jey to stay home. For next week's SmackDown, because next week's SmackDown is also in Montreal. So we know the Usos aren't going to be there. We got some comments here on Instagram. Love to see Sami win for the shock value alone, but it'd be a bad move for him. So here's my thing with the potential Sami Zayn victory. If Sami would have won the Rumble, they probably could have done Sami Zayn challenging for the title, and it could have been believable. I think right now, if Sami were to win in Montreal, that crowd pop would be huge. It'd be a huge moment for Sami, and I think it would be really, really cool to see. My question is then what? Let's say Sami wins. How do we book that? I've been trying to figure it out because prior to the Rumble, I felt as though Sami Zayn could have won the Rumble and could have main evented WrestleMania. I think Sami is over enough. I think he's hot enough right now. I think Sami could have main evented Mania with a Rumble victory. I think even if a decision were made to split the titles, Sami could have competed night one against Roman and maybe not been victorious, and we've done enough damage for Roman to lose to Cody on night two. Or even we could have taken both belts off. We could have done that. That would have been fine. But at this stage, how do you book the summer of Sami Zayn if Sami Zayn wins these titles? If Sami takes them off of Roman, I don't think you could have Sami lose to Cody. And I know that's kind of a shocker that I feel that way because I am a huge Cody Rhodes mark. You can see I got a Cody figure behind me. My boy Mark here is a Cody mark also. He's more bigger MJF mark than I am. But if Sami Zayn wins, what's next? What do you do? I right? You know, I don't. I've been trying to figure out how I would fantasy book the summer of Sami, and really the only way to do it, and even honestly, even if he doesn't come out victorious, I think the summer of Sami has to be a feud with KO. I think Kevin Owens needs to fully turn on Sami. You know, maybe we're in Montreal for Elimination Chamber. Sami Zayn's first live wrestling event was Survivor Series in Montreal, the Montreal Screwjob. We have to have a Screwjob in Montreal. The city of Montreal is as big of a story in the Sami Zayn story as the bloodline piece in him actually going against Roman. I think that you need to have something along the lines of a screw job happen in Montreal. I think that there is a huge opportunity to tell another piece of that story if Sami is screwed out of the title in Montreal. Or if someone screws Roman, how do we get there? You know, anyone here on the Instagram live feed, if you have an idea, how do you take these belts off of Roman Reigns in Montreal? It's got to be a screw job, right? Whether it be Jay screwing Roman, so we have a Jay and Roman program through the summer, or KO could do it, but there's a lot of dynamics to this story, and you have this is long-term storytelling long before WWE, because you have the underlying story of not just the bloodline. You have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. You have their rich history together. You have all the ups and downs, all the turns KO has done. So you do have Solo Sikoa out there, and a few months back, Mark right here, Mark did a post where he felt as though Solo Sikoa was going to be the guy to break up the bloodline. That Solo would be the first one to turn on Roman Reigns. That Solo wasn't there to be aligned with Roman and acknowledge Roman. That Solo was there to keep an eye on Roman Reigns, to make sure the bloodline was falling in line properly, and Solo would be the guy. I could see it. Solo was the first one in the bloodline to really be accepting of Sami. Yeah, Solo is he's rarely ever throwing up the ones. It's very rare. Solo is oftentimes not even in the same gear as the rest of the bloodline. So there's little things that could be the Easter eggs of the Solo turn. Does Solo turn on Roman and help Sami? Does Solo turn on Roman and go after something for himself? That's kind of the question here as we're leading into Elimination Chamber. I mean, Elimination Chamber is kind of supposed to be a bit of a throwaway pay-per-view in a lot of ways. It's not, I mean, the U.S. title match is going to be really, really good. But the main event match leaves so many question marks. I think if I were to have the pencil, there was. I mean, there was a ton of time put into this, and I think a lot of it happened organically because I think so many things just fell into place, and so many things just kept rolling, and Sami kept rolling, and everything was just really good. I think this ends in a just colossal beatdown of Sami Zayn. I think it has to be Roman being a bit unhinged. I think perhaps after, maybe Roman gets the victory and just doesn't stop the beating of Sami, because Sami has to come out of this the biggest baby face on the planet, and to do that, they're going to have to milk every bit of sympathy and empathy out of that crowd in Montreal. Thank you, man. Thank you. Mark says have a good one. I think they have to really look to milk out as much sympathy as they can from the crowd. If I had the pencil, I would even say during this beatdown at the end of that match, Roman has him drop the chamber back down to continue this beating. Maybe even during the match. I think that'd be a great thing to do. No one's ever done that. They've never brought the chamber back during a singles match. Have it operate like a different level Hell in a Cell. And just the beating should be without mercy. And then you have someone intervene. Whether that someone be Kevin Owens, I think that'd be great. I think that it builds a history there, and it gives that Kevin Owens comes in, saves Sami Zayn, just as Sami stepped in to protect Kevin Owens. Then I think that that's the piece we go with down the road, we have that turn. If Kevin Owens and Sami align together again, which they will, we know they will. It's the inevitable. It's their story. It's that they're brothers, and brothers fight. So Kevin Owens will turn on Sami Zayn again. He almost has to, and it's a great piece of the story. Could we get to a point where there's a title involved? God, I hope so. I really hope we have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn at some point feuding for they got to split these belts up somehow. I don't know how they get there, but at some point I want these guys feuding for one of the top belts on the main roster, because I think they could really put together a program that could just keep going and going and going and going, and they could have epic matches. They could really have a lot of things happen for a title belt on main roster. They said we weren't getting The Rock, but what if Rock's the one who comes out and stops the beating of Sami Zayn? What if that's the angle we go with? I think that there has to be something epic here. I don't think Roman loses these belts in Montreal. I think the screw job comes on. I think the screw job comes with Sami. I think it has to be sympathy. I think we have to have that happen. I think maybe it's Kevin Owens takes out Sami Zayn, and we get them. Maybe we don't do those guys as a team against the Usos at Mania, which a lot of things were rumored that's how we were going to get this story. We were going to get to a point where KO and Sami were teamed up, and they were going to take on the Usos at WrestleMania. I say in Montreal, Kevin Owens cost Sami Zayn the match with Roman Reigns and his opportunity to world title. So this way we can get an epic encounter at Mania this year in Hollywood between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And it can be epic. We can give them a lengthy amount of time to tell a story, and they have the rich history. And at the end of it, battered and bruised, and man, maybe they even get some color. Maybe they bust each other open like the old school Ring of Honor days. Maybe they could do that, and at the end they embrace, and we build toward, they get back to being friends again just through beating the hell out of each other at WrestleMania. And then maybe SummerSlam, it's Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against the Usos. Maybe they team up after Mania. They bury the hatchet in the ring because KO's hurt that Sami, thought the bloodline was his family. So that's why he's going to turn on him in Montreal, or at least screw him over in Montreal. That's my prediction, is that Kevin Owens is the guy who screws Sami over in Montreal. I think maybe that way you can have a back burner. Maybe Sami could have done it. Maybe he could have beat Roman, but Kevin Owens cost him it. So that way you can build up the hype, get them to Mania, have them beat the hell out of each other, and then after the match, immediately embrace and give them a WrestleMania moment. These two guys who came up together get a WrestleMania moment together after an epic match, and then they can go on and team, and then they can go after the Usos and the tag titles. But I don't think now Sami can be the guy to dethrone Roman. I think if Sami would have won the Rumble, we could have got there. I think that I just can't see getting us there. I can't see getting to a point where Sami dethrones Roman Reigns now. If Sami could have won the Rumble, he could have main evented Mania. He was hot enough, and it was going in the right direction. The Cody thing is perfectly fine. I'm great with that. It's good. That's good stuff. Cody taking on Roman is good. Cody being the guy to dethrone Roman is good. For Sami's story, I think Kevin Owens has to cost him this. Kevin Owens has to be the guy to take this away from him. And then we can get Sami and Kevin feuding on the main roster. We can get it being just brutal at Mania. And then they can embrace and go back to being brothers and then they can go on a tear as a tag team and then go after the Usos and then continue that piece of the story. But for right now, today, now this could change. I could change my mind come tomorrow. But right now, I don't think Sami Zayn beats Roman Reigns because I think the better story at Mania for the titles is Cody dethroning Roman. Because then Cody's summer can be feuding with Seth, and Cody always beats Seth. And when we can get past SummerSlam, we can get the return of Randy Orton. Then we can have Randy Orton go after Cody in the titles and just tell that little bit of leftover story from their days in Legacy and the rich history of those second-generation stars. So, guys, that's it. Like I said, quick podcast episode, quick Instagram live. Just wanted to say, I think right now the only thing to do with Sami Zayn is have Kevin Owens screw him over at Elimination Chamber in Montreal. Have KO be the guy that cost Sami Zayn those titles. And then they can go on to WrestleMania and have the match that's going to steal the show. Guys, please check us out on social media. It's Don't Say the F Word Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. The Don't Say the F Word Podcast on YouTube. We are available on Spotify and Google Podcast. And very soon, we will have a website up and an app, so that way you guys can join together, get into some forums. Already have some blogs written up that will be there, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Again, guys, thank you from me. Thank you from Mark. And make sure you stay tuned. We have more stuff coming throughout the week.